But good, yeah, perfect time. All right. Good evening, everybody. I will now call to order the March 20th, 2023 meeting of the City of Plattsburgh Public Safety Committee. It is 5 p.m. Start with the attendance. Councilor Bond. Here. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Mayor Rosenbach.
Here.
And I am here, Councilor Bob present. I will first take a motion to approve the minutes of the February 21st, 2023 Public Safety Committee and the special meeting of the Public Safety Committee on March 9th, 2023. Motion by Councilor Boggs, second by Councilor Kelly. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, these minutes are approved. Item number 2, we have the building inspector reports. I've taken item 2.1 through 2.3. Do we have any questions or discussion on any of these reports?
Yes, I
Okay,
have one
great.
question. Notice there are a lot of snow complaints, and about half of them roughly were from St. John Street in my neighborhood. And I wonder how that happened. I know you may not be able to give us many details there, but
I can't at this moment. It might have been one of our staff being there doing an inspection and noticed several. It might have been the police department that were cited those. I can find that information out for you.
It's not that
and definitely get that back to you.
the question that I have is, it seems to take like 20 days to resolve these.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because I'm now figuring that was a question you had. The day you were remote, you asked me a question about how long it took to resolve certain complaints, and I realized that it might have been, as it's shown on our report, that 20 days open or whatever. That's not always accurate. Okay, one of our guys is responsible for doing the bulk of this work into the computer, and if he's out or somebody else who had this complaint hadn't given him this information yet. So my suggestion would be, if you have any questions or concerns about a complaint in your ward and want to know exactly what's going on with it, give me a call. But I'll bring this up at the staff meeting this week to make sure that this information is up to date as possible. I noticed one on here today that was from earlier this month about water. The tenant was out of water, and it shows as being 20 days open, but actually it was resolved the next day. It was just never logged in here. So these sidewalk complaints they don't take 20 days to resolve. They take a few days. If you had a specific question about number 6 St. John Street, I'd be happy to look into it for you.
Okay, no specific question, but I do have one more question.
Sure.
While you're up there, and that is, we instituted this rental registry a couple of years ago. Yes. And your estimation, is that having any impact on the quality of rentals that we have in our community?
All of my staff says that it's a really good thing. It really is. It allows us ability to get into some units that we have been having trouble getting into in the past, and I don't know that we have any outstanding ones that we know of that aren't that haven't filed with the registry that they're required.
Well, that's worried.
One of the things we've come to understand over the years, it's hard to keep track of sales, right? So we get a sales list from the county as soon as they can put it out to us, and that's every 3 months. So quarterly, we review that list, see how many were sold that are part of that, have the number of units that will qualify them for this, and then we get in touch with the new owner if they haven't done it already. So that was a little bit challenging at first, but once we start getting that information from the county, we got somebody keeping an eye on it.
And Joe, just because I wasn't here for those days, what is the actual number of units that qualifies, them having to register?
3 or more.
Okay, good.
Joe, would it be your opinion or recommendation to expand that to duplexes and single family rentals?
I mean, I heard that's on the table. I don't know if I should be the one to, say yes or no.
Let me ask you this, how many do you think, in terms of if they're, what's the percentage of the total rentals in the city of Plattsburgh if you included those?
There are a lot of duplexes, a lot. Now, I think to the bottom of your question, the problem properties weren't duplexes or rented out single family. The bulk of the problems, you know, with the. So I think the 3 family and above, that are captured now in this program, you know, this does a lot of good. I don't see the harm in both trying to pull in 2 families and the 1 families that are being rented. I don't know. Current staffing could handle that additional work because that's actually about twice as many properties.
Joe, can you do us a favor? Can you just explore what other municipalities and see if they can include single and duplex?
Absolutely.
And then we'll make a determination if that makes sense for the city.
I really don't see the harm in that, but I'm not sure how the value weighs on that.
Councilor Bond, I don't know if you're familiar with, the question earlier was about snow violations. Are you familiar with how snow violations come to occur?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming complaints, just, I mean,
Sure, so the city of Plattsburgh, after we declare a snow event, the end of a snow event. Property owners have 24 hours to clear the snow from their sidewalk or give a concerted effort per the code to clear their sidewalk.
okay,
A lot of times I understand that people say it needs to be done in bare concrete. It doesn't. It's very explicit in the language of the code that there needs to be a concerted effort using hand tools to remove snow or to make it passable. So it could be people throw salt and ice down or salt and sand down to make the area passable, sufficiently passable. After the 24 hours expires, either members of Joe's office may passively be doing an inspection somewhere, or members of the PD will actively drive around and note areas of sidewalks which appear to not have been cleared. At that point, members of the PD will send that address to Joe's office, and Joe will make a note and then send out the violation to both to the owner as well as DPW. At that point,
DPW gets notified at the same time we do from the police department.
at that point, DPW also sends crews out to do clearing of those sidewalks, and then the owner of the sidewalk will get the fee or the fine, I guess, the fine for the violation from Joe's office, as well as a bill for having DPW remove snow from that sidewalk.
okay. How do we know? Well, I mean, I as a general rule, I do not spend a lot of time on Facebook, but I've seen a couple of comments about up on Route 9, just before McDonald's.
Okay,
How do we know? I mean, I don't know what's private, what's, you know.
okay, so. There's nothing easy I can tell you about any of that. If the apron is too narrow, meaning, you know, the area between the sidewalk and the curb, that grassy strip, sometimes there is no grassy strip. If, in essence, if the city is plowing snow right up onto the sidewalk, it'd be really hard to hold the property owners responsible for going out and clearing the sidewalk every time the plow went by.
No, I mean, how do I know if that's their responsibility or the city's responsibility?
In some areas, the city's responsibility, in some areas it's private. We could probably, between myself and DPW, show you a map of where it's typical that the city takes care of and private property does, this law that Mayor was talking about, just for clarification purposes, it's not there for any of us to go out and, with a magnifying glass and say, he didn't do it good enough. It's really for, did they make a good faith effort? Is it passable? And like Mayor said, there's nothing in there that says it needs to be clear right to the concrete. So the police department does their patrols right after that the 24-hour ends, and they notify us. We send a notice out that they're in violation. So they're already being fined for being in violation. Public Works also gets that notification, and then as soon as they have time, because you can imagine if they're being notified that they're busy with the snowstorm, as soon as they have time, they'll go out and check those properties If they've been cleared already, so be it, they keep going. If they haven't been cleared, they'll stop and clear it, and then those people get charged a fee for that service.
Okay.
And I think it's also, it's important to note that, oftentimes we won't declare the end of a snow emergency the moment that it stops snowing. We'll give some time. So people can get out there and clear the sidewalk, and oftentimes, if the snow ends on a Saturday, we won't declare the end of a snow event until sometime on Monday. So there's the weekend plus the extra day, plus another 24 hours to clear the sidewalk. It's not meant to be punitive, it's meant to be like, I don't want to say encouraging, I don't want to say encouraging, because it's not really encouraging under the threat of being fined. But it's like, hey, we're giving you some time now, go and clear the sidewalk kind of thing.
Yeah, so just to add to that, we can take citizen complaints, they call it, maybe police didn't see something, we didn't see something, hey, my neighbor didn't do this, we definitely take those. We also see that when we're out doing inspections, if we see that a sidewalk hasn't been cleared, we'll call back to the office and check with Lisa, hey, is this on the list from the police department? If it's not, we'll add it to the list and give them the same notification. Even if it's a week later, if it's a week later and that sidewalk, we see a sidewalk hasn't been shoveled, we'll deal with it the same way. And Public Works notifies us sometimes too.
Bill, while you're in explaining mode, would you also give Julie a brief description of the rental registry program? How that works? She's so big a new counselor, she doesn't know much about it.
Okay, yeah, so this is something we kicked around for a number of years and actually tried to kick it off a year or two before. We noticed that legally there was some language that needed to be changed, so we went back to the drawing board and started the next year. That was 2 years ago. So that was kicked off 2 years ago. Every rental property with 3 or more units is required by city law to be registered in our office in a rental registration program. So they need to fill out an application, they need to pay a fee per unit. And is it $100 a unit? I think it's $100. I think it's $100 a unit for a 3-year permit. So that comes out to $33 a year for that unit. But you can also get a 1-year permit, which is $40 a year. So if you were thinking about selling your property next year and didn't want to get the 3-year permit, you could get the 1 year. So we've got those all invited. When did this just happen? I got called by police or fire a Saturday a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what property it was, but they were having trouble. It was 129 Rogers. Was that weekend it was super cold. Pipes burst. They couldn't get in touch with the owner. They were calling me for contact information. I came in the office, went to our file, pulled out the registration form, found contact information for the owner and the owner's agent, and so we were able to get in touch with them right away. But yeah, so it gives us the ability to do inspections, and it also allows the owner to self-inspect, but they're certifying that they've done that inspection and everything is working properly.
Okay, thank you.
Where it's really helps is contact information. That's, I mean, you lose a lot of time trying to, and if you're on the weekend, you don't have contact information, then a lot of places you can get it. So if they give us false information, or more likely their information has been updated, but they didn't tell us, then they could be fined for that, for not updating our information right.
Keep explaining that.
Sure.
Do we have anything else for Joe? Any discussion or questions? Thank you so much.
All right. Well,
Okay, with that, we'll move on to section 3, The police department, we have items 3.1 through 3.3 are our various reports, which include the monthly parking violation bureau, the monthly call arrest and monthly animal dog control reports, and the monthly payroll and overtime reports. So discussion or questions for the chief? Hi, Chief.
Oh,
Do
we have any questions?
Well, further request, last month, I believe, we also included the organizational chart with the packet today. That goes back several years so that council can see historically, staffing and organizational structure. With the most recent, pending promotion, that will also be updated here shortly. We have a number of, vacancies to fill, due to that, promotion. Congratulations, Peter. So, as those vacancies are filled, we'll provide an updated sheet at the next meeting. Those vacancies still need to be resolved through civil service and then internally to start to fill the gaps.
Good, that's a great thing to have.
Some of the red, may I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of these, I know that, for example, like we've got agents internally that interact and interface with other, I shouldn't say agents, I should say officers that interact with other agencies. Some of those remain in red or they remain as vacancies, however, we still have a relationship with those agencies. Also, as discussed last time, we have a member of the civilian member of the police department, which is now becoming an officer here with the next academy, and we are not looking to backfill that position. Eventually, that will be taken off the organizational chart. Something.
Thanks to all for getting this to us. I also just wanted to comment, payroll and overtime is looking good, so that was a good thing to see. I mean, it's always been such a struggle, so when it's one of the first things I look at.
Well, the payroll will look really good. I mean, I think the overtimes, at some point, we might not be as happy, but the payroll, we're way ahead on the payroll. That's why we can afford to send money to the academy. I think payroll will be good.
I didn't notice any concerns yet with overtime, but I know that can become a beast as the year goes on.
And it will be, I'm pretty sure, because we're pretty short, people.
And sorry, Chief, in terms of staffing, I hope the memo provided to committee and council helped explain some of this, what's happening internally and how we're able to move people around and save money at the end of the year. And then further explanation, following a couple of questions provided by Councilor Gibbs. I hope that also provided additional clarification for current staffing, staff funding for that staffing, and then anticipated savings and the 1100 line projected toward the end of the year. Considering some of these staff movements and then pending resignations mid-year, we should still be looking at a surplus in the 1100 line. Ideally, with making that balance across the overtime line, but still maintaining the overall staffing funding under budget.
Does anybody have any questions about any of the other reports at this time for Chief Bureau?
And I'd like to thank you members that Pete's going to be a captain here shortly, and then for those that you don't know, Pete's been with the department for 23 years, and then 18 of those years he's been a supervisor. So he's a great asset to this city. He's well respected by the members, and I find him to be a great ally for the city. So thanks for voting. Appreciate it.
I think we're happy to have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to item 3.4, which is a draft resolution to authorize travel requests for the police department. And have a motion. Motion from Councilor Kelly, second. Second by Mayor Rosenquist. Discussion. So I did have a question just about one of the costs. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, and obviously we want well-trained force. But I was just a little confused about the total cost on the first request for the undercover narcotics operations school. Based on the email that you sent us, the math came out way lower than what I'm seeing here on the request. So I just wanted a little clarification on that, because I took a picture of it just so that I would have it on paper. It said that it was, so the week in Albany, the hotel rooms is $110 per night. And then a food per diem, it said for 4 days, whether that's 5 or 4. And then the second week, it says the hotel is paid for by the SPTC. So based on the rate, I just wasn't sure why the hotel cost was coming in where it was on the request. And then same thing with the food. It's like, based on the information they sent to us, it didn't seem to line up.
Is it reimbursed? Is it something we've got to pay for?
Is this the one you're talking about, Renee?
Yeah,
I don't honestly know the answer, but I can find out for you. I'll check with Melissa, because she does all of the bill paying and the figuring out, but I can find out for you and get back to you tomorrow. That's okay.
that's fine with me. I mean, I can probably send the question more clearly in email and show you, like, just show the math that I'm working with.
No, I understand. I think I understand where you're coming from, because part of the travel is either paid for or it's reimbursed. And I think it might be a factor of it being reimbursed. So you have to pay for it upfront
Right, like that.
and then get reimbursed by the other agency. So that might be why there's a discrepancy between the amount seen here and the amount in the email.
I think that's the answer, Mayor.
But let's get that answered. If it's all the same to this committee, I would ask that you pass the authorization with the caveat that it will be clarified with a final number before the next regular meeting, and we're not left with a question on the actual amount.
That is fine with me. I'm comfortable with that. Like I said, I can get out my exact question tomorrow or even after the meeting, and I can copy the rest of the committee on it so that they're aware of what I'm asking. And we get that clarification as a unit.
Yeah, I'll get you the answer tomorrow.
Yeah, because like I said, I mean, and it's not like it's an exorbitant amount for 2 weeks of training anyway. So it's that's not what I'm stuck on here. I just kind of
I
wanted to.
understand.
I can see it coming up. All right, does anybody have any other questions or discussion about this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll take it all in favor. All in favor of passing this to the regular common council meeting? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, this item will pass to the regular meeting.
Thank you. Just before Chief leaves, when I came on in 2021, we had a conversation internally regarding body cams and funding for body cams. It's come to our attention that the city received monies to facilitate the implementation of body cams. Right now, we're just doing a little bit more research. We don't have a lot to share, but we do want to make the council aware that we have received grant monies for I don't want to say for all body cam. We just have to figure out what our next step is. We do have monies for at least the initial phases of it, and so we'll go back and do a little bit more digging and then provide a more comprehensive update to council.
Sounds great then. Great. Anything we don't have to pay for, but that will enhance things, sounds good to me. So,
And I'll say that is the question that we have, because this is not just here's some money, go get body cams. There's a lot more involved in terms of discovery, recording,
Storage.
evidence gathering, storage, the whole thing. So,
yeah,
which again, it's not just about the equipment itself, it's about the people and the people power that we currently have and that we need to provide that. So.
well, good to know it's on the record. Thank you so much.
One other thing from the police side, sorry, Chief. See that. This last week or the week before, Lieutenant Mitchell led a class in BOLO training. This is the less than legal force that we're implementing in the department. Whether or not we move away from the taser technology or not, this is something that we can employ in the community. That's non-invasive. That does allow our police department to not only de-escalate, but also capture combative suspects out in the field. So again, I think this goes a long way, especially when we have taken some time implementing PO 203 and understanding the implications of our police, the use of force. And this is one step in that right direction.
Great. And I mean, while we're on the topic of kind of other general police updates, just ask again, are we any closer with that report we've been waiting for, that outlines the department and what they think we need and all that?
DCGS report.
DCJS
Still
report,
waiting.
You know, I think would expect,
any day, right?
I expected, when I did it, because I talked to Gabe Russo, who was really, really great at DCGS, been there a long time, very knowledgeable. And he told me last time you guys asked, I think beginning of March into February, he said it should be coming out towards the end of March.
Okay, great.
So we're getting towards the end of March, so I'm expecting it any day. As soon as I get it, send it to the mayor and he can send it out to people. Okay.
Thanks for the update. I appreciate it.
All right. See you.
Okay. Got a couple bonus items in there, which is good. Any other items, please? Okay. We'll move on to 4, fire department. We have items 4.1 and 4.2. They're both reports, monthly EMS fire call report and a monthly payroll and overtime report. Do we have any questions, comments, or discussion with regards to these reports? But Chief. I just want to say again, nice job with payroll and overtime so far.
We're working on it.
Yeah,
We have had a unexpected retirement,
okay,
so that lowered my 1,100. We may raise the 1,200, so it's a balancing act.
yeah,
We went through it last year.
yep,
And where are we at with the academy?
Right now, I've got just went to career chiefs. We are gonna have a WebEx call with the academy about pre-registering and possibly getting on the list. Also make contact with several other departments that may be able to do some academies, because we are not the only ones. State Fire Academy can only run 3 classes of 40 members each, otherwise they get overwhelmed. There's more than that in the state right now, so we're trying to look at who's gonna run an academy. The main problem is housing, because we don't want to put anybody up in hotels. The cost would be astronomical. So we're trying to figure out who's doing it, what time frames, and everything else. So that was part of it. But again, the pre-registering, we're still waiting on civil service.
Yeah.
To get us, it was disheartening the amount of people that signed up for the exam and took it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have 5 vacancies and we had 9 people taking it. Never heard of it. Normally, we were in the 70, 80 people that take it, so we even did a push. Citywide and through the union, through social media. We're looking at now possibly going out into schools. I know that got a crew that's gonna go to Peru school, organized through the union, so. They're gonna go out and we're gonna start trying to do some career things. We're looking at maybe doing some video stuff that we can get out during career time and show them some of the things that we do, so that they just, there's multifacets for our department. We're getting ready for water rescue training. We're getting ready to swift water training. Mayor's been part of that, repelling. Maybe get some excitement around it, just. And see where everybody's struggling. I didn't realize it throughout the state, but it's any public safety, police and fire. They cannot get people to sign up to take the exams.
Yeah.
So
How many active members are currently in the fire department right now?
right now, once our retirees will have 32.
32 active members.
You know, then we have the assistant chief and myself.
Right, anybody on disability or leave or,
That's out right now, that's
Yeah.
coming back. Yes, we have a lieutenant who had a knee
okay,
injury. You will be back on the 29th.
Yeah.
So we'll be at full
so
staff.
there are 31, so 32 active, 31 with.
31, and we may have another retirement at the end of the summer. The problem is we try to project
Mhm.
retirements,
Yeah.
but you never know when somebody's just gonna decide, hey, this is the time that's right for me.
What's
We
the
can't-
ideal number?
What's that?
What's the ideal number?
Depends on who you ask.
just staffing.
What's the ideal number for our area?
For our area? For us, my ideal number would be 40. And that would give us, as the mayor, you saw today, 2 ambulances running full time. It would be 40 with an 8-man minimum, running 2 ambulances steady. If you look at your report, you can see we're up 7.5% already in EMS volume. It's just where it is, the big talk going on right now statewide with EMS and the failures and not being able to get personnel. So there's a lot of places that, if you go into Westchester County, they said it's terrible right now for them to try to get people. You know, paramedic, that's 18 months of training. So nonstop. So it takes time to get everybody ramped up, but it's a necessity.
Right, well,
Anything else? I will tell you that as of date, we have over 600 hours of training that have been done
This year?
this year. So that's man hours of 600. And we have revised 88 of our standard operating guidelines to make sure that they're updated, current, and we're using the best practices, and we've got more to go. We're into special operations now, so our water rescue. When those all get done, I don't know if it's something anybody wants to read, probably be a long read. You wouldn't understand half of it anyway, but I provide.
I will say, like, part of the coolest thing to this job is going and hanging out with these guys and repelling in the station or being dropped off in the lake and, you know, seeing the boat drive away and float there and then.
You didn't realize how big the lake was, or
You
the bay was?
don't realize it until you.
Wait for the boats to come back. Well, it was, the only order I gave that day is no ground.
Sounds good, thanks, appreciate it.
Okay.
Chief, considering the concerns that we've seen nationally with derailment and chemical spills, when you see a train go through the heart of our downtown and the heart of the neighborhoods, and can you provide a comprehensive outline on an emergency response? Maybe not now, maybe it's written and drafted so we can share it. You and I have talked about it
Right.
multiple times over the years, but I think it would be beneficial to council and community to understand what our response is when we see these trains
Absolutely.
driving through the city in potential derailment.
I can tell you that we've had members that have gone out to, I went to Colorado Springs and did trail derailments on crude oil trains, because you'll see crude oil, those will be the black brown ones that come down through. If you remember, it was in Quebec.
Yeah.
That they had a terrible accident up there. So that prompted it, CP Rail paid for all of us to go out. So we've got a good contingent in the department in command positions that have gone through that training. We've just done a little bit with Amtrak derailments, so we got that protocol done. We're also gonna have Amtrak come in. All of our, well, a large majority of our members are the Clinton County hazmat team, so chemical spills, class A's, see the guys in the suits that you know, go to get the chemicals, anything spills like that. We're trained in that. We have deployments with the county, we have deployments with the state, if something was to get in the river, or in the environment. But we've got a protocol, and it's pretty rapid. CP Rail is very good with their safety. We've got a local rep that's down Hunts Falls area, and we're gonna make contact with him because we're gonna come up and we're gonna actually get, when you brought this up, we're gonna get fake tops, how we secure tops of trains and do things like that. I can do it in a more comprehensive, I'll work with the assistant chief, and we can let you know what this was identified as an area to have deployments. So we also have a state home trailer that's out at a county building ready to deploy, or we have a large fire or anything like that. So we've got protocols in place.
Do you know if CP Rail has lowered the speed at which they travel through Vernon City, or?
I'm not sure if they lowered it, but I do know that they do reduce speed because you are on a downhill and Green Street is a turn. So that is an area where they keep their speed down because they're coming down with the freight trains and it's a turn. So they push them a little bit.
Yeah, like from my house.
You can hear it. And yeah, it's you know, we have had some incidents with pedestrians, unfortunately, with trains that we've had to deal with. There hasn't been any other issues besides, you know, pedestrian not being where they're supposed to be. When they do their emergency braking and everything like that. Again, we are working on these protocols to make sure that we are up to date and what we need to do. And when it gets, we'll have our initial, we're bringing in people, different layers and different hierarchies, just like, you know, the state would be here, we can deploy state fire, no time, they're coming out all the way, so. They've got response vehicles that are ready to go for just such an incident.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, is there any new business to come before this committee? Okay, and any public comment? It would appear that there is no one here or online. So seeing none, I will now take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilor Vaughn, second by Councilor Kelly. This meeting is now adjourned at 5:34 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.